I'm good. Sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good. Thank you. So I'm sorry being a little late. Uh,
No worries.
yeah, so you can share your screen and we can get started.
So basically, what I did is for this case study, I created a Java-based application.
Mm.
Uh,
So how you need to present is first to give an overview of your understanding of the case study, and then if you have done any design or such, and then the solution approach. And after that, you demonstrate what you have done in reality.
okay. Okay. What I understood of basically, I applied for the DevOps
Can you
intern.
share
So
the screen of the
the what I
case study?
understood. Okay. Uh, I will be sharing this. Is it fine? The
Yeah, just the
what I've
document
done on
you
AWS
have shared, no? That case study document.
document. Okay. You should. What you should. Yeah. So basically, what I was supposed to do is create a sample. In this case, I created a sample Java application. Then I created a Jenkins pipeline for CI. I hosted all my application code on GitHub repo, which I have also sent it the link for it in the mail. I used Docker for containerization, and I've also use Prometheus and Grafana for Prometheus for monitoring and Grafana for creating a dashboard for visualization. And I did also created the cluster through the Terraform infrastructure as a code. Yeah. So so firstly, I will explain through an architecture diagram. Actually, what I did first of all, took a sample Java application to basically deploy uh, on AWS. So I will be creating my pipeline on Jenkins. First of all, what I did is I compiled the application through, there is a command in Maven. Maven is basically a build tool to build a Java application. So mvn compile is the command to basically compile the code. Then I use Trivy. Trivy is basically to check if are some security vulnerabilities in your files system or in your Docker images. So I can side by side show you my pipeline also, what I
Yeah.
did right. So as you can see is first of all, what first it was to basically check out the Git code and pull it here in my pipeline. Then what I did is I compiled the code which I told you, which mvn compile is the command uh, given by Maven. Maven is basically a build tool to build the Java application. Then I run the test cases. Then what I did is I use Trivy. Trivy is basically to check if there are security vulnerabilities in your file systems or not. So basically, in this step, what I did is if there are some security vulnerabilities in your file system, it will output in this fs.html file and this in table format. I can also show you this in my pipeline workspace that if this is what's created or not. As you can see, the name of the file which I'm taking is fs.html. So as you can see that it was created in my Jenkins workspace fs.html file, right? Then what I did is I run the SonarQube analysis. SonarQube analysis is basically to check the code quality, check if there are bugs in the code or not, vulnerabilities, if there is some duplication in the code or not. If there are vulnerabilities too, it can also check. For this, for to for SonarCube analysis, there are two parts. One is the sonar scanner, which is basically a tool, you can say, and other is the SonarCube server, which basically sends the report after scanning. So sonar scanner, after the scanning, it sends the report to the SonarCube server. So as you can see, I have also set up the SonarCube server here, and I have given the project name as blogging app, which is shown here, and this has passed it, right? And I've also given the project key to basically log into that. Here I've mentioned the Sonar server, which basically I created, and I guess I can show it in the. This I created in system. Yeah, as you can see, the Sonar server. I created the Sonar Cube server on my AWS only. I created a EC2 machine for that, and I've set up the Sonar Cube server configurations here in Manage Jenkins system. Okay, then what I did is I created the package through ambient package command. This what basically does is compiles all the Java code and creates an artifact. Basically, what it does is, then after creating this, what I did is I deployed the artifact on a Nexus repository. The Nexus repository I also created through an EC2 instance, as you can see. Basically, here in this repository, I have pushed my jar files. As you can see, it is placed here. After compiling and doing testing and all those things, after pushing the artifact to my Nexus repository, what I did is I created an image from the Docker file. I've already set up my Docker credentials in the pipe Jenkins credentials. So this is where I created the image from my Docker file. Then after creating my Docker image, Trevis can also be Trevis for security vulnerabilities, which I told, right? Earlier I used it for the file system scanning. It can also be used for the image scanning. So basically, after creating the image here, I scanned my image, and the output of that scanning, I've placed it in the image.html file. I have given my image name here, and format I've taken the same as table format, and I can also show you the file that was created or not. As you can see, this file was also created, which basically Trevi did a scan for the image and check out if there are security vulnerabilities in my images or not. Then what I did is I pushed my Docker image to the Docker Hub, which I created earlier through the build command. Basically what I did is build the image, I scanned for the security vulnerabilities here, then I pushed it to the Docker Hub. After pushing it to the Docker Hub, I created the deployment. Before the deployment, I also created a cluster here, because how can you deploy if you don't have any cluster beforehand? So to do that, I used create a cluster. I used Terraform. So I will walk you through the Terraform min.tf file. So all this I created in this region, Mumbai region, AP South 1. Then I created a VPC for that. Then I created 2 subnets, which will be having different CIDR blocks. I created those subnets in different availability zones, and then what I created, I attached an internet gateway to my VPC, and then I created a route for my internet gateway in the route table. And also you can see I've signified the VPC for here too. Then I associated my subnets with the route tables here. Then I created the security groups. Then here I created an cluster, EKS cluster. I've also defined IAM rules for that. This and these subnets here were to be created. After the creating the cluster, I will be creating a node group here, as you can see. I've created 3 worker nodes here, and I've also specified the keys basically here, which will keep the keys which will be used. This I've defined in my variables.tf file. After creating my EKS cluster through this Terraform file, obviously then after creating the cluster, I did ran my Jenkins pipeline. After creating that cluster, then only obviously I will run this, because you need a cluster basically to deploy that, right? So I have already created a deployment service.yaml file. As you can see, I pushed that image right to the Docker Hub before. Then if I will show you my deployment service.yaml file in container specifications, I will be using the same image. I can show you that too. Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, here what I'm taking this deployment service.yaml file. Well, here I created a deployment. I will be creating 2 pods here. As you can see, I have set the replicas as 2, and as you can see, I will this container specification will be using the same image which I pushed earlier. Right. I have also created a server which is a load balancer type service. So what it does is basically creates a load balancer in the AWS, which I will also show you. Then after creating the cluster and create through this, I will be also creating the pods, right? Then and I'm doing nothing but I'm just verifying if pods and services are created through this or not on that particular cluster. I can also show you this in my pipelines console output if it is creating or not for verification. Yeah, as you can see, this is working. And this is the service external IP, which is basically the load balancer IP, which I've already said. Yeah, this is working. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And did you see the logs in CloudWatch and anything
No,
on that?
I have, yes. I missed that. I basically set up a Prometheus for basically scraping the metrics, and this is Grafana basically
Hmm.
for visualization, which you can see, right? This is Grafana, and this is the
How
same
does it
URL
help you,
which you,
Grafana, and
yeah.
how does it help you? What do you do with Grafana?
Basically, basically is Prometheus is basically scrapping the metrics from this, right? Basically, it gives you if like this, it is giving me how much time it is taking for DNS resolution, how much time it is taking for TCP connection, and basically this is for that. If it's taking too much time, then we can obviously take some steps. This is basically for monitoring.
Yes, of course, it is for monitoring. So, and do you know how does it work internally? So let's say you have your nodes and clusters separately, right? Now, how do you integrate with Grafana and Prometheus?
Uh, Basically, what I did here is
How does it fetch all the
I
details from your node?
Prometheus basically scrapes the metrics exposed by the black box exporter at regular intervals. Black box exporter basically runs the tests, such as sending HTTP requests to a URL or pinging an IP address. Then it exports it to the Prometheus as Prometheus compatible metrics. And there is also some Prometheus queries which you can use to analyze data. And Grafana is basically used to visualize. Yeah, I've created this.
What else? Go back to your
Uh,
case study. So let's see what all you have covered, right? So evaluation criteria is understanding of DevOps principles and practices. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, so what are the tell me a couple of best practices which you need to follow when you are working as a DevOps engineer.
Uh, Basically, what I did here is when I created the file system, I obviously scanned through with the Trivy. So to check this if there are any security vulnerabilities or not, right? Can I show
So
you again?
security is one aspect. Okay, you need to be careful
Obviously, and
about the
then I
security.
am yes. Then I'm not putting credentials in my pipelines. I am putting it in Jenkins credentials, and so it is much safer.
Right. So that is
I'm
a part
also
of security. How you can hide all the secured information.
then there is I was also using SonarQube, right, for code quality check, and in SonarQube there is also a quality. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
you are
What
saying
is
something?
helpful for the code quality?
Yeah, if there are any duplication in the code or not, that you can also check it through that. There is also a quality gate in SonarQube. If it does not satisfy this condition, does not satisfy this particular code coverage, then it will not move forward in your pipeline. Yes, I would have showed you here already. I've for security, I've also created an image scan also through Trivy to check for security vulnerabilities, and I've output in this HTML file which I've showed you.
Okay. So how do you decide? You have so many different types of resources, right? And services. How do you decide which service you need to use? So let's say you joined a company and there is a Java development team. They have developed one web application with React and they have developed one microservice. So as a DevOps engineer, now you have to deploy those applications. So how do you decide it
Okay.
has to be deployed in using AWS Lambda function or in EC2 or whether you need API gateway or load balancer or you need Kubernetes cluster? How do you decide it?
It basically depends how the code is written, right? If say for AWS Lambda or EC2, I can say AWS Lambda is basically a serverless thing, right? So it obviously costs you less if supposedly if you want if the application is such that right for billing you want, right, so you don't want obviously 24 hours you don't need a billing thing, so you want it for a specific duration, then you can use AWS Lambda. Otherwise you can for a normal application you can use your EC2.
What else? That is one criteria, I guess. Okay, let's go back to the case study again. So regarding this, Docker image, right? The containerization, whatever you are going to do the deployment, you are doing through containerization, right? So how does it help? What are the different advantages it has over the traditionally the deployment process which normally people use?
So basically, if you run an application, there are will be dependencies also which are required to be installed, right, to run that application. So if I am
Dependencies.
running an application,
Fine. What
yeah,
is
if I
dependency?
am running my application, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. After that.
and and other could be like suppose exactly if main reason to it is dependencies only, and
Okay, let's move on. Tell me about different cloud services which you know in AWS.
AWS EC2, AWS Lambda,
Hmm.
AWS CloudFront, which is AWS Route 53,
What is
and
CloudFront and what
AWS
is
Beans.
AWS 53?
Cloud CloudFront is basically for caching. You
Hmm.
can cache at edge locations. There are edge locations by
Hmm.
AWS. So
How does
basically,
it?
what
How
you
do you
do
cache
is
it?
if you
So, for example, you have this web application. Okay, let's say React application you have. What do you cache it in, and how do you cache it? CloudFront.
basically if you
Yeah,
do have
using
an image,
image caching.
yeah. So basically, supposedly you have a say an image basically, so you can place it into an S3 bucket. So if you first search it, right, it will go to your availability zone, or it will take some time, right? But next time if you have placed it into a cloud front, then it will automatically store through an AWS edge location. If you search it next time, it will have less latency because it will be stored at your AWS edge location.
What is edge
That
location?
is basically it is used. It is just like an availability zone only, or data center, you can say,
Hmm.
where store data is stored for caching, basically for lower latencies.
What are the ISC tools?
One is Terraform,
Hmm.
and other is AW by just by AWS Cloud Formation. Famous is Terraform only, which is used for can be used for different cloud services. It is universal in that sense.
Okay, okay. I mean, does it mean Terraform and Cloud Formation? These two are the ISC tool. Yeah. Anything else?
Be many, but I don't remember the names. I mostly work on Terraform currently.
Okay, okay. So let's say you have deployed your service, and you are going to hit the endpoint. So you from the public. So
Okay.
you are getting 500 errors. What could be the problem?
500 error.
Mhm.
500 error, I don't know.
Do you know what are the different HTTP status codes?
I know 200 is for successful and 400 is bad request.
So have you deployed any Django application, any Python application?
No, I have currently not deployed any.
So you have done Java application and the web application
Mm,
have you deployed?
Yeah, Python Flask in other project.
Do you know what is the data at rest and
Data at
data at rest?
data at rest using
Hmm.
basically which is stored on hard drives or which is not being accessed or in cloud too. You can
Hmm. You have idea about NoSQL databases?
it is basically a non-relation database.
Have you heard
Basically,
about
what
such database?
type of you are saying non-relational databases?
No, type of NoSQL databases. That's fine. So, tell me, when you are creating the infrastructure, what are the different ways you secure the infrastructure?
Basically, when you use security group, obviously, so that security group is basically for your EC2 instances,
Okay, one is security group. What else?
and other is there is application firewall too, which is you can use for, and you can use certificates, SSL certificates
Okay.
for security. You are saying right?
Hmm. Okay, so let's say you have four different EC2 instances. Okay,
Okay,
and you are running same application on all those four EC2 instances. Okay, and you
okay,
might have a load balancer on top of those.
yeah,
Now, when any application is running, there are, let's say, 100 customer, and the calls are going randomly to any one of those EC2 instances. Okay,
yeah,
logs are getting generated in all the EC2 instances, right?
yeah.
So now you want to search any particular error message or any information for debugging purpose. So how those log from different EC2 instances being searched, and it is being told, like, what is the issue, and it collects all the information related to your search criteria.
Basically, you can use CloudWatch for that.
Okay. So what CloudWatch will do? CloudWatch will collect the logs from each of those EC2 instances, and how it will integrate it.
Yeah, basically it can do that, and we can also create an alarm through CloudWatch. It will email us if there is a problem.
Alarm, that is a static one. I mean, whenever exception is there, it will trigger
Oh,
alarm.
hello.
But I'm talking about normally when you see there is an issue in your application, then you need to search that exception or error, right? And you need to trace the entire log so that you can debug and fix the issue.
Basically, if there is a load balancer, there will be a target group also, right? We can check if there must be a health check too, right? If you've created a load balancer, we must have created that. We can check that too.
Hmm.
In target group, if they are saying multiple instances, then which instance is not working? Is health check going properly?
Do you know what is API gateway?
Yes.
Can you tell me what is API gateway? Why do we need it?
Basically, API gateway is a server that acts as an entry point for incoming API requests, routing them to the appropriate backend services.
Hmm.
It
Then how it is
sits
different
between
from
clients.
the load balancer?
It is different from load balancer.
Hmm.
Load balancer is basically the way of multiple EC2 instances which directs traffic. API gateway is for managing API requests. It providing a range of features such as routing, security, rate limiting, which is for security also, authentication, logging, and caching. And load balancer primary purpose is to distribute incoming network traffic across multiple servers or instances. You can say. API gateway is for complex API management tasks.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's all I had from my side. You have any question for me?
Basically, I wanted to ask so I have applied for DevOps intern, right? I will be if you hire for your own company or you do both for your own company and clients too.
We do both.
Or
So primarily we do for our own company, and then we have clients also. But it depends on the timing of your joining. When you are
okay,
joining, right? That time, if we have positions in our company, then you might be placed there. If we have clients, then there will be another round of interview with the client. So after case study, there would be a technical round, and then in case of client company, you will have a client interview.
okay. So this was my technical round, or
This is a case study review basically, more on the practical side,
okay,
what you have done. Technical would be more
okay,
of a theoretical, your conceptual skills, and whether you know the jargons, their meanings, some definitions, some concepts. So that would be the technical round.
okay, 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 okay,
Yeah. So
okay, sir.
I want to spend couple of minutes on your educational background and the experiences which you have been through. Though we should have done that in the starting, but you can tell me now.
Okay. Basically, I have done my graduation from Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra, Jaipur campus in computer science stream. I graduated in 2022. Since then, I'm basically working at Fidelity Information Services as a database analyst. The reason for me doing this, I want to transition into DevOps. That's why I'm uh, here.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm here. Yeah.
You got a chance to do any DevOps activity in your company?
No, no, I'm only on database side.
Mhm. But database side you are, but you are not able to explain much about NoSQL databases and all. Are you working only on RDBMS?
No, I only yeah, I only work on RDMS, SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No worries. I mean, DevOps is a very good area. That's fine. But definitely all different types of databases also you have to know from the configuration and deployment point of view, monitoring point of view, performance tuning, security point of view. Yes, so all the cloud services which are available across RDBMS, NoSQL databases, all related to the caching, all related to distributed systems. So those are the areas definitely you have to know. And also all the tools for AI ML related, which are used for the data analytics
Okay, surely I will
from
do.
DevOps point of view.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's all from my side now again. Any final thing you have?
Sir, no, sir.
Cool. So our team will get back to you, okay, on the next step, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, man. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.